Hi guys, welcome back to another episode. Today's gonna be a short episode talking about the pressure to perform. And today we're gonna be going over the body's stress responses and how hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline can affect your focus, sleep, and recovery. And we're also gonna be talking about some factors such as social media that play a role in the pressure to perform. And by doing that, we're going to go over some of the experiences professional athletes have been through. So, when you go under stress, it can trigger a fight or flight response. And this means that your brain releases hormones such as adrenaline and cortisol, which increases your heart rate and breathing rate. And while it can be helpful in short bursts, it can lead to more stress overall and just cause more mental health issues. So, one of the effects is focus, and under that is hypervigilance, which means your body is stuck in a fight or flight mode. So, when this happens, your adrenaline locks your brain into a state of alert hypervigilance. So, like you're stuck. And this makes you highly reactive to peripheral distractions, and it can severely impair the sustained focus required for deep work. So that means you can just get off task really easily, and whatever's around you, you can get distracted by it. And also under focus is memory blocks. So this means that your cortisol enhances the brain's use of glucose for immediate survival, but it can flood the prefrontal cortex and hippocampus. And this disruption compromises working memory, decision making, and critical thinking. So it doesn't make you think as straight, and I feel like it doesn't allow you to lock in that much, Yeah. So the second one is sleep. The second effect is sleep, and under that is melatonin suppression. So the cortisol and melatonin operate on an inverse biological clock. So when stress spikes cortisol at night, it actively suppresses melatonin, preventing the drowsiness needed to fall asleep. So I feel like this means you just struggle to fall asleep easily, because in order to sleep, you need to feel that tiredness in you, But if you don't feel it, you're not going to sleep that easily. So that's what it kind of means. And the second one is fragmented sleep cycles. And so the adrenaline maintains a high resting heart rate and elevated core body temperature. This induces microarousals that pull you out of deep sleep, causing frequent nighttime awakings. So that just means you're gonna keep waking up throughout the night, which is kind of sad, because when you wake up during the night, I just feel really distracted, and that doesn't it doesn't make me energized for the next day. And the third one is loss of deep sleep. So elevated stress hormones suppress slow wave sleep, also known as SWS, which is the deepest, most restorative stage of your sleep cycle. So with that loss of deep sleep, you're just gonna struggle sleeping more. When you meditate, you're in the zone. So that's what it technically means. You're just not gonna be in the zone more often, if you know what I mean. And so the third effect is recovery. And in recovery, your muscles have a toxin buildup. And this means that persistent adrenaline keeps blood vessels constricted and muscles tense. And this can reduce the efficient delivery of oxygen and nutrients, leading to prolonged soreness and metabolic waste accumulation. So after practice, let's say you're feeling sore the next day and you feel like you didn't do anything in practice. So that just it might mean that like you're just going through a lot of stress and you're just like feeling overwhelmed by like the certain events or like whatever's coming, because like if you're sore, that just means like something in your body's like tensing up. So it can be due to this adrenaline and like the blood vessels. So if you're like feeling sore, just know that it might be from stress and not from like your workouts. So now we're going to be going over the experiences some athletes have been through, particularly the professional athletes that have been to the Olympics or like the I don't know, like the other professional games, like the the opens for tennis. So the first one is Simone Biles, who is a gymnast. She won 7 gold medals, 2 silver medals, and 2 bronze medals while competing for Team USA in the Olympics. She's crazy. But like while she has had a lot of successes, she has felt the pressures of competition at such a high level during the Olympics. And she even spoke about it on her social media, I think. And she said that we are people at the end of the day, so we have to focus on that. And I feel like her speaking up about that is really important because it shows that even the most successful athletes are just going through a lot, and that we're not like robots. Like we're not always going to be perfect and go through like those perfect motions to get a perfect score or just to help your team win. But we have a lot of flaws, and I feel like most people forget about that like we're just human overall. And the second one is Michael Phelps, a swimmer. He's also really goated. He has 23 gold medals across 4 Olympic Games, but he also said that he experienced major depressive episodes following nearly every Olympic Games. And that's like also kind of sad because I feel like not many people know like how much pressure athletes go through in order to just like really do well for their country or just to like make themselves proud or their parents or coaches proud. So there's so much pressure that goes behind like what it means to compete at that high level. But throughout his career, he worked with his coach on like visualization practice, and that visualization practice became one of the most like examples of like applied sport psychology in like elite competition. So I feel like visualization is like slept on a lot because it really helps calm your nervous system down, but also just like allows you to trust in the process and believe in your abilities in order to perform well. And the last one is Naomi Osaka. She said that she withdrew from the 2021 French Open due to the mental health costs of mandatory post-match press conferences. And that also says a lot because tennis is such like an individual sport where you put a lot of pressure on yourself in order to do really well. And this kind of goes for every sport, but I feel like individual sports, there's just so much more going on inside because it's just you and like you have no one besides you to help support besides like your coach, but like you know what I mean. So yeah, but although she like withdrew from the French Open, she worked with sports psychology practitioners throughout her career on the focus and pressure management demands of professional tennis, where that's her sport, where like you have to play in front of millions of people. And I know like like technically all the sports you play in front of a lot of people, but individual ones just feel so much more compact and it feels much more pressuring. So it's really understandable how she withdrew from the French Open. And I feel like the reason why I chose these three athletes to talk about was because they were being like really vulnerable with themselves and to the public, and they really like spoke out about their experiences and how much they've been through. And despite going through like all those challenges, they seeked help, and they always like went to those they were close with in order to help them become a better athlete. So I feel like the lesson of today is to really just, I feel like it's to just not mind those around you, because although there's like so much pressures and factors that contribute to like the stress you're gonna go through, like it's important to just like believe in your own abilities and just trust the process. I feel like that's the most important thing. But also like from this like episode, I feel like visualization is such an important aspect that athletes need to do, like even before a game, or like before you go to sleep, or like just before like an important event you're going through. I feel like visualization is really important. And like it doesn't even have to be like for sports, it can be for school too. Like if you have like a presentation the next day, or like if you have a major exam or test, I feel like visualization can help. And for example, one of the captains this year for volleyball, we would always like, she would run like a visualization time before our games, and we would just be in like a locker room or in a like isolated room somewhere else, and we would just close our eyes and we would be in a circle, and she would be like, if you're an outside hitter, visualize yourself with that perfect 3-step approach, and you snap your wrist perfectly to help score us a point. Or like if you're a setter, imagine your hands perfectly push off of the ball, and like you perfectly get quick with your middle and help your middle score a point. It was just like little stuff like that where you're visualizing every single movement or every single moment you're going through. And I feel like that just helps you calm yourself and just help you believe in the process more often. And I feel like along with that is like what Simone Biles said, like we're just people. So you really, although you're trying everything, which is good, we just have to remind ourselves that not every day is going to be perfect, and that you just got to trust in your abilities. So the next episode, I low-key don't know what the next episode is going to be. Yeah, I don't know what the next episode is going to be. So it'll be a surprise for next time. But thank you for watching if you made it this far. It was kind of a short episode, but thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye.